Hello there, everyone. My name is Crazy Caleb, and today we're going to be taking a look at not bitmaps. So these are a new series of not modules that just got released by Quinn West, Quinn West, or however you pronounce his name. Sorry about that. And essentially what we're going to be doing is the big difference between bitmaps and not bitmaps is not actually the numbers at the bottom, but rather the screen is going to be cycling through a series of 4 different screens. They're each going to be colored a different color. Normally it's cyan, green, yellow, red, magenta. There's a bunch of different colors that can eventually pop up. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to be trying to find a series of different patterns of which can be occurring in each of these states. There is going to be only exactly one shape, as we can see down here, per screen. And that's going to be basically giving us one input per screen. And what our goal is to do a series to press each of these to press the correct button on each of the buttons on each of the screens that pop up. So you have to press, for example, if you were to get example for a 4 for the blue screen, you would have to press 4 when the blue screen pops up. That's the way that works. It's not a specific order of which you have to submit it. It's when the screen pops up, that's when you press it. So essentially what's going to happen here is there's going to be a 5x5 shape that is going to be present in one of the quadrants below. Now, of course, it can go over to other quadrants as well, but essentially the way that we're going to figure things out is we want to find the dead center and figure out which quadrant that is. And how exactly do the quadrants work? They are numbered 1 through 4 in reading order, so essentially we have 1, 2, and 3, 4. This is the way that it would normally look. So let's take a look at it. So let's try and focus on one individual screen, and I believe I found it right there. I believe if we go back to the cyan screen, and if we look here, we have that little diamond-like shape. That could potentially be what we're looking at here. And just like that, shape F, right there, that is what we're looking at. So yeah, so this is going to be shape F, and this is going to be for the cyan screen, as we can see right there. It starts up at the topmost point at echo 2 right here, and then it goes around, and then it goes like that. It's in quadrant 2, goes to quadrant 1. It's actually, I think, in all 4 quadrants. But essentially what we need to do is if we take a look on here, based on the shape and the quadrant of the center cell, because it's a 5x5 grid, that's just going to mean Charlie 3 for that grid, we're going to press the button equivalent to the quadrant that the shape rule refers to. So, what we're going to do is we're going to look for the center Charlie 3 here, which if we take a look when the cyan screen pops around, it's 2 down from the topmost diamond. So right here, so that's going to be in quadrant 2. As I mentioned before, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be in quadrant 2, just barely. So, what this wants us to press is the quadrant that delta 2 of the shape is in. This is actually really straightforward. So the quadrant of delta 2, so all we simply need to do is we need to find this one of delta 2. Orientation is not relevant in this case. It simply means just whichever one delta 2 is in. I believe all of them actually can just be rotated in most cases. Yeah, it actually looks like all of them can be rotated. There are these two. They will appear, they do not, obviously the orientation doesn't matter for most of these, but this one will appear when it's up, and this one will appear when it's down. That's pretty much just the way that you're going to distinct from it. It will never be rotated, but I'm just saying that all of these are pretty straightforward. So, what we want to do is we want to find the delta 2 quadrant that it's in, which I believe is 2. If we wait for the cyan to come around, it should be right here, which it is right there. So that's going to be what we're going to press. So this is currently in quadrant 2. As we look right there, it's going to be that little black square. That's 1 down right from the top black square. That's how that works. So that is going to be us pressing 2. And if we press 2 when the cyan screen is shown, the screen disappears, but it accepts our input, and now it's no longer a part of the cycle. There's only 3 colors now. So this means that we did a correct input. Likewise, if you happen to press one of the buttons that's wrong when the screen is shown, it will give you a strike. That's just the way that works. So now let's work on the other 3. So let's take a look around, and I believe I see a green shape up in the top right here. I believe it's shape E right there. Yes, it is. And just from looking at it already, the center cell definitely is going to be in quadrant 2 again, because the center cell is that little white spot that's 2 down from the topmost black right there. So right there. Yep. So that's definitely quadrant 2. And now what we want to do is we want to pay attention to the quadrant that Bravo 2 is in the center. The quadrant that Bravo 2 is in. So we need to take a look at the Bravo 2 cell, which is the from the top black cell right there. We need to go down to the left. From the down to the left, that's still quadrant 2. So we're going to press quadrant 2 when it is green. And just like that, that is good to go. Now, let's take a look at these last two here. Perhaps... this is a bit of an interesting one. Let's take a look at the other shapes and see what we could potentially get here. Because most of the stuff is going to be based off of black. Can we potentially do something with that, this little circle up in the top left here? I believe we can, yes. And if we take a look, all four corners have some sort of little black dot here. So yes, this is the shape that we're looking at for the magenta here. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting. The quadrant n clockwise from the one this shape is in, where n is the third character of the serial number. This is in quadrant 1. It's that center white surrounded by the black, which is in quadrant 1, definitely. And now we want to go clockwise, like so 1, 2, 4, and 3, like that. We want to go clockwise where n is the third character of the serial number. So we need to go clockwise 3, which will take me from quadrant 1. We'll go to 2, we'll go to 4, we'll go to 3. That will take me to quadrant 3. So let's go to quadrant 3. And just like that, that is good to go. Now for our last shape, and thankfully we don't have to worry about the screen toggling anymore because we've done all 3 stages, and we have this last one right here. And immediately, I think I can see something with this little diamond shape, with this only being 1 in the center here. And if we take a look right here, shape mic, we have the 4 corners that's sort of like, it's almost like a camera in a way, almost like a camera shot. So this is exactly what shape M is going to be like. So now, we're going to take a look at this rule. The quadrant N, which, by the way, the center black, as we can see here, we're in quadrant 2 right now. Those big white lines, those thicker ones, are going to be the dividing points. Each of the 4 quadrants are going to be a 4x4. So the quadrant N clockwise from the one the shape is in, so we're going clockwise, so clockwise around, where N is the first character of the serial number, and it's giving you the A1Z26 transformations. There's no, I don't think there's a 0 at all. See? Yeah, there's no 0. So, if we take a look at the first character of the serial number, it's actually a digit, so that's perfect for us. So that's going to be taking a look at the 9. So we're going to go 9 clockwise around here, but we can essentially make this a little bit easier for ourselves. All we simply need to do is we simply need to modulo this by 4, or subtract 4 until it is less than 4. So we'll do 9 minus 4 is going to be 5, then minus 4 is going to be a 1. So we're simply going to go 1 clockwise from the 2 point right here, and we're going to go down to the 4 quadrant, and just like that is a solved module. So let's go over 2 more examples. This module is pretty straightforward. It is a little bit tricky to find the shapes, but you can kind of tell what they look like. It is probably just describing it that is the hardest part of this entire module, but the rules that they follow are pretty straightforward. So let's take a look at a couple more examples and see what we can get. I'm going to speed it up a little bit too. Now, it might be a little bit easier to do this as an interactive just to make some of the cycling go away. But ultimately, the colors are just there to distinct. Because as it says here, the colors are not relevant, but they will assist you in keeping track of the bitmaps. The colors will always be consistent with the boards that they are a part of. So let's take a look. Let's just do one more example. So they will just be there to assist you and keep track of what the bitmaps actually are. They will not be relevant in any way, shape, or form. You will never use them in any rules. It's specifically referring to the quadrants. You might have to move clockwise. You might have to tell where a bit is. You might have to do diametrically opposite rotations and stuff like that. But let's take a look at our next example here. So let's take a look. I believe with that green, I saw one right in here. I believe I did. Yeah, okay, so it's not this one. It's the opposite one, which I believe it's U. And if we take a look, yes, the white cells are, white L pieces are in the top right and the bottom left. And then all 4 corners are white. Yep. So, taking a look, the center cell is in quadrant 4. So, and now we're taking a look at the quadrant that the delta 4 cell of the shape is in. Well, immediately right off the bat, if Charlie 3 is in quadrant 4, that already gives us a pretty good idea that if we go down to the right to delta 4, this pretty much means that we're still in quadrant 4. So we're going to take a look, we'll wait for green to come back around, and then we'll hit 4, because this is quadrant 4. Just like that, it's good to go. Now for that yellow, I think I saw something with that yellow. I believe it's actually that right there, this little 5x5 grid. It's sort of like that hashtag right here, or like tic-tac-toe in a way. If we take a look, see if that's a potential shape, which it is right here. So for shape D, for the yellow one, the quadrant that is diametrically opposite this the one that the shape is in. So the shape that it's in right now The quadrant that it is currently in right now is going to be quadrant 4. That middle white cell is just barely in 4. So we need to go to the dimensionally opposite one, which would take me up to 1. Just like that, that is good to go. Now for our last two here. I believe I saw the magenta. Yes, right there. So this one is actually in shape A. So this is what we're looking at here. The L pieces are in the top left and the bottom right. The center is in quadrant 1, and what we want to submit is the quadrant the shape is in. This is actually the easiest rule of them all. So all we simply need to do is press 1, and just like that, that is good to go. Now, we have free reign and to take a look at the last one, and I actually see it right here. We have this little white X-ray formed in the middle, along with the 4 corners that are white as well. So that is going to be what we're looking at here. So it's shape B. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look. We're going to submit the quadrant that is vertically opposite that the shape is in. So currently it is in, the center is currently in a quadrant 2. So we're going to go to the one that is vertically opposite of it, which vertically opposite is up and down, not horizontally left or right. So we're going to go from quadrant 2. The one that is vertically opposite is quadrant 4. So we're going to hit quadrant 4. And just like that is a solved module. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.